The land is the mother and we are of the land. We do not own the land, rather the land owns us. The land is our food, our culture, our spirit and our identity. When people talk about country, it is spoken of like a person. We speak to country, we sing to country, we worry about country and we long for country. To not know your country causes a painful disconnection, the impact of which is well documented in studies relating to health, well-being and life outcomes. It is this knowledge that enables me to identify who I am, who my family is, who my ancestors were and what my stories are.
Today is about reconciliation. For me, it's healing from my past. I'm part of the stolen generation, so there's a lot of healing and there's not a lot of learning for me. But I can walk in that learning journey with non-Indigenous people. So we walk together. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, so my name's Damien Beatson. I'm also known as Bull, the nickname Bull. I'm a Mool Warrior man, and I'm also the president of the South East Queensland Indigenous Riders Club. So the Indigenous Riders Club is, as it sounds, we're a bunch of Indigenous guys getting together with the bikes. Love to get together and go for rides, and obviously that brotherhood that's involved in bike clubs. But the most important thing is being a role model to Indigenous youth, and the reconciliation for me is closing the gap, making sure that, you know, for the general Australian to understand what it means to be Indigenous, to be Aboriginal.
I grew up in Warwick, and yet our Indigenous Australians were never acknowledged. I now know, of course, of the history of this region, and I'm trying to make sure that knowledge of our region is preserved in our history, and that our true history, the true history of our region, is acknowledged.
My name's Laura Deety and I lead the Carbal Community Choir. I'm the musical director, conductor. Reconciliation means healing the past, coming together, acknowledging the real history of Australia. I do think the Carbal Choir is a good example of reconciliation. We have Indigenous and non-Indigenous members. We sing Indigenous and non-Indigenous songs, and I guess it's a chance for people to come together every week. We don't always necessarily specifically talk about, the history or the past or anything, but just through our songs, we're connecting together and sharing experience, I guess.
When I walk these city streets, and white people are all I need, I wonder how we cannot see the blood that stains.
I'm Helen. I'm a long-time Warwick resident, and I've been a member of the Carbal Community Choir since it started earlier this year. I'm like a lot of people of my generation. I grew up not knowing anything about the Aboriginal history in Australia. I grew up in Tasmania. We knew about Truganini, the so-called last Tasmanian, but we knew nothing else. And I just got a real shock as I grew up and got to know more about the Aboriginal history, and reconciliation just became more and more important the older I got. I think community singing itself is a beautiful metaphor for reconciliation, because you have to work together in order to produce the sound that you want to produce. So what could be a better kind of example of being together and achieving together?
Originally from Toomala, born in Gundawindi, live here in Warwick for about 25 odd years. Well, singing is a part of our culture. We just want everyone to come and join in and just enjoy themselves, that's all.
Since I've come to Warwick, I've been impressed with the young people, and particularly the ones that I meet on the street, and I thought it was a real privilege one day when a group of young men came and they called me out. And that's, I felt was something. And they did me good.
People in the community need to take that personal responsibility and work together support each other, just have a yarn with each other, to help each other through this. That is what is part of it, is reconciliation. It is the relationships that are built around trust and respect. And it's a journey. It's just like walking up a mountain. It's a journey. It's a long journey. There's a lot of obstacles. You'll wear out along the way. You stop, you sit down, you have that break, you breathe, you look back at how far you come. I'm beating your head up against a brick wall. We do a lot of talking, but now it's time to take action, to get out back into the community. We need to create our own magical walking, dreaming tracks. Instead of going around on a well-worn track, we need to break the cycle. We need to create like our rainbow serpent, our creator spirit.